It's Friday, the 20th of December. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the BLANCOLIRIO channel with a quick end of the week wrap up of some of the many stories we've been covering this week. First up is Clint Johnson from the NTSB Alaska office with an update on the crash in Honolulu, Hawaii of the Cessna Caravan. They're focusing on the airworthiness of the aircraft.
It's a process of elimination. At this point right now, this early juncture, nothing has been eliminated at this point. However, we are putting a big emphasis on the engineering portion of this, the airworthiness, so that's why Cheech is here. He traveled all the way from Washington, D.C., and he's going to be conducting an extensive wreckage examination and trying to find out exactly what happened here with this accident.
Clint goes on to explain that despite the highly fragmented nature of the wreckage of this aircraft, that they should be able to get to the bottom of it and find out if there was some sort of a mechanical problem with the aircraft, the airframe, or the engine. Clint was also able to confirm that Preston, the 26-year-old pilot, was the instructor pilot on board the aircraft and was checking out Hiram, 24 years old, who had just recently received his commercial pilot rating. Clint also has people coming forward explaining how the maintenance was performed on the aircraft, especially in light of the fact that the company was sold to a private equity company in 2022, and the entire organizational structure of the aircraft went through a major change when everybody, after their 2-year commitment, left the organization, forcing the organization to close down until those vital roles were refilled and Kamaka Air was able to go back into business. Then this crash happened. And one of the challenges of doing maintenance out there on the islands is the fact that, well, first off, it's hard to get qualified maintenance personnel to stick around because of the high cost of living in Hawaii. And also, there's not a lot of hangar space available out there in Hawaii, so a lot of the work on the airplanes has to be done outdoors in the weather. The NTSB final report is out on the tragic mid-air collision in Dallas, Texas that resulted in 6 fatalities, including my old friend Len Root, my former Czech airman in the Airbus A320 aircraft. And all fingers point towards the air boss, Russell Royce, who, without any formation experience, as previously briefed on this channel, put 2 aircraft together, belly up to one another into a passing condition where they could not see each other, causing the collision. As a result of this accident, the NTSB made no less than 7 recommendations, 4 recommendations to the FAA, 2 to ICAS, the International Council of Air Shows, specifically, and these are good recommendations, specifically regarding the appointment of air bosses, the qualification of air bosses, and the currency requirement and training requirements for air bosses. And of course, a recommendation was made to the Commemorative Air Force as well. The family of the victims have formed a lawsuit against the Commemorative Air Force, and named in the lawsuit is also the air boss Russell Royce, who hopefully will never again serve as an air boss at any air show ever. Regarding the drone frenzy over in New Jersey, no sooner does the federal government tell us that there's nothing to worry about here regarding these drones, and many of these sightings are simply aircraft or legal drones or even satellites, then Shazam, all of these drone TFRs, temporary flight restriction areas, show up here on our sectional charts. Each of these little TFRs are about 2 miles in diameter and 400 feet tall, the limits of drone operations, of legal drone operations, and each of them encompass a particular piece of critical infrastructure or some other area that the government does not want the drones to be flying over. And here's an example. This is over a Solberg VOR, a VOR nav station used by aircraft and airliners, and it's a no UAS operations authorized area. It's a 1 nautical mile radius, a 2-mile diameter, up to 400 feet. And here they tell you that if you're operating a drone in here, you may very well be taken down. No solid updates on the Bombardier crash in Argentina, though there's some rumors that were the pilots recently fired? Were they having to return a jet back here after they'd been let go? We have no facts yet on any of this. Were the pilots fit to fly? And then some of the comments in the comment section are questioning, well, what if the pilots had some sort of emergency that required them to get down quickly? Well, there was no emergency or mayday call out to air traffic control, and in the event of an emergency, that is when you want to absolutely fly your most stabilized approach of them all, because you don't want to have to go around in the event of an emergency. Got in a collaboration video last week with Hoover over at Pilot Debrief, debriefing the final report on a couple of spatial disorientation accidents that happened, well, probably over 2 years ago now. And Hoover definitely takes the cake for the setup of his YouTube channel background compared to the paltry-looking background here of the BLANCOLIRIO channel. So that's the Friday update from the BLANCOLIRIO channel, tying up some loose ends of some of the things we've been covering here. Again, this channel is brought to you by the folks that support this channel here on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. See you here. Try to keep it between the ditches over the weekend, boys, so I can get a break.